Let's listen to some Aurora music while we wait for her to come on. I'll put the link for this in the comments as well if anybody wants to go listen to Aurora's music. Let me know if you guys see that link. Sometimes YouTube blocks links. Kitty cat had an interesting encounter with the toilet the other day. We heard some sort of noise in the bathroom and the kitty cat came flying out all wet. Hey Robin. Robin, can you see this link that I posted in the comments here? And could you let me know if it's clickable? It's a link for Aurora's music. She has music on SoundCloud. That's what we're listening to right now. Hey, Mr. West. Always a good Sunday when you catch a live Snail Show. Yes. That is a good day. Aurora should be here soon. Thank you, Robin. Go give Aurora some love on SoundCloud. I haven't looked at her other music, but I like this one, so. Gia's in the chat. Hey, Gia. How have you been? Busy day. Yep. Hey, Ben. Ben Jenkins, that's a new name. Thank you, Gia. I'll see you around. My hair is so long lately. Maybe Aurora is having technical difficulties. Gary, this is why you're not going viral. One of the reasons you're not going viral is simply the fact that you're not going viral. Yet. You will if you stay persistent.
Who said that?
Someone sent it to my email. I expressed interest in having a YouTube guru help out, but that was before I realized some things. Where is Aurora? Hey, Susie. No, this is Aurora's music. The link is in the comments if you guys want to check out her SoundCloud. The very first comment, I have her SoundCloud link here. Oh, that is what you asked. Yeah, that's Aurora's music. I just don't know where Aurora is. I don't know. I text her also. And I emailed her. Let's see. Yes, I would love to go live on your show. Where do I log in? Etc. I told her 12:30 to 1. So we'll see. Oh, she's got a bunch of them. Bespoke light. Maybe she's taking Cheeky out for a poo. I took your advice on speaking my thoughts out loud and just letting them come out in a stream. It's actually very helpful and helps me see where I'm actually at with my thoughts. Good. You can watch your own mind just like you watch the sky or weather. Earth to Aurora, come in. We went and, well, somebody had posted a link to the Wayfair stuff, and there was this video of a little girl. Pretty gross video, but they took it down since then. It was called Amelie Wayfair number 3, I think. And it was very clear what they were doing. How did they say it? The woman said, "How could this couch possibly have such a price?" Mm-hmm. At the end of it. And then the little girl said, "With Wayfair it can." Mm-hmm. It was nasty. Pretty bad. And they have since made the video private since last night. I know some people are saying Wayfair is a red herring, but at a certain point there's not really any need to say that with every single like big thing that the mainstream news is covering, I think.
It could be, but it doesn't mean that's not part of the problem.
Right.
Of course it goes deeper, of course it goes into the dark web. Open up the surface shit first.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, probably the whole channel went private, I would say. I think it was Tara Nicole. Who posted it? I don't remember. It was like, Wayfair self-tape. That's what it's called. Amelie Wayfair self-tape. If this video is ever removed, contact me on Reddit and I'll send you the file. So somebody saved it. Let's pause this for a second. How do we pause? There we go.
Very still. We're going to try and get all of you in. Ready? Ready to play? Look down. Well done. A fine example of true opulence. But surely the price on this Regency-style sofa can't be correct.
With Wayfair it can.
So somebody revived the video even though the original poster tried to remove it or tried to make her channel private. Comments are turned off. Trump's #1 supporter. So that's what's going on. That's part of what's going on anyway. And the nasty creatures are scrambling to try to make it look like nothing's going on. But at the same time, they have to say what they're doing, so it's a really weird game of pretend. Very odd. Hello, first name, last name. Welcome. We're just waiting on Aurora. There could be communication interference, possibly. I wonder if I could find her on Facebook. Had to look away. Yeah. You can feel the nastiness oozing out of the screen. You feel it oozing. Where are you, Aurora? Hey, Nigel. Facebook's like, I will not move either. Ah, she's here. Sweet. Aurora hath arrived.
Hello, Gary. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hey, Aurora.
Good. Oh, let me make sure that you're turned on. Hold on a second. Can I hear you? Sound check me on you?
Can you hear me good? Is this good?
Yeah, thank you. I'm so sorry. I was sitting here at my computer literally making music, waiting for your email to come in. For some reason, the stupid computer didn't give me a heads up. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Technological gremlins. This is nothing new for us when we try to. So thank you. Apologies for being late. And how are you doing?
Good. Yeah. I'm good. It's always the same thing. It's always the same. Like, you can feel the energy ramping up as all of this sort of stuff tries to come out and tries to be hidden at the same time that it's coming out. A lot of backtracking, and it's amazing to watch. How's it going over there? You doing
Good.
okay?
I don't know if we've talked since June. I think that June of this year was maybe some of the hardest demonic interference, pardon my French, effery. We'll keep it clean for the kids or whatever. Like getting screwed with on a cosmic level. Like, I found it very, very difficult to. I'm just trying to even describe this. Difficult to hear my own thoughts. Difficult to feel my own untrammeled emotions. Like, it felt like a total demonic assault in terms of like being deceived by things that wanted to come into me and distract me from my path and distract me from what I was doing. So you said, like, I'd sent you some music. Literally, music has been saving my mind. Literally, music has been keeping me sane. Because what I was doing for a long time was I would find a song that I liked by another artist, and I would just listen to it over and over and over as like a way of almost like hypnotizing myself or having something to grasp onto, because I found that the intellect was just totally hacked. Like, my own thoughts were so perturbed and not my own that I couldn't find any peace. Like, any amount of mental experience was just very uncomfortable. So music has been something over the past like month or 6 weeks or so that has been just like crucial for me. And after I got bored listening to other people's stuff, I just started writing my own. But I want to tell you all about like my experience and what I think is going on, like why I think June was so heavy and everything, and also hear about you, because I'm sure you feel the same things going on.
Yeah, it's been very crazy energetically. It's just like very chaotic. It's up and down. It's the same. It's not. I don't have the same. While I'm awake, I don't have the same sort of interference with thoughts, because I'm generally pretty silent internally. I'm not always having all these thoughts. But when, and Andrea can vouch for this, when I've been sleeping lately, the attacks have been like ramping way up, because I have more vulnerability when I'm asleep than when I'm awake. When I'm awake, I'm very used to dealing with the attempts at hacking and whatnot. But when I'm sleeping, apparently there's still some weaknesses. So I've been dealing with that for the last definitely like 2-3 weeks.
And I also, like, I know that you have a very excellent logical mind, like you apply it towards chess. And what we're in right now, we talk about the realm or this bizarre, lifelike video game that we're experiencing. Like, it's a logic problem. And I've been approaching it like that way too. From my artwork, I think people can understand, like, I put things together in a way that fits and makes sense, even though it's usually like a creative project. And I've been approaching the unreality of reality as that same type of creative project, of like looking like a software engineer, even though I don't do software in the regular world, but like a genetic software engineer, where you're looking for the flaws, you're looking for the glitches, and then you're looking for the patch code as a way of like rectifying the inner experience of what is going on. And in early June, I really felt that I had solved the video game.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah, totally. So here, what my experience is, like, I do my lasagna dance every day, and it's an inner dance, but it's also a physical dance and a body practice. And I wanted to say that, like, for anybody, if you are having difficulties with mental intrusions or the feeling of something else trying to like take over your mind, or intellectual whatever, just being screwed with, it really helps me to have a body practice, like to have a thing that I do with my body every day, because I really feel my body is divine, my body is divinely connected, and there can be a way that you can connect with your own body, your own living stuff here, without anything coming between you. Like, I think humans are not like other animals. We have an animal body, but then we have the mind that is constantly coming between us and our body experience. And I found that if I got rid of the mind part and I just went into my body experience, that was very nourishing and empowering. So I do an actual physical dance and physical exercises. And when I would do that dance, I feel not only like for over the past several months, like really since October of last year, I felt like I was accelerating internally, and almost like I was approaching a culmination point. And I felt like in early June that I had actually reached that point. and it's almost like having a minimum level of momentum. Like if you're trying to get your bicycle going, you're like going, but at a certain point you have enough momentum so that you're like, you're upright, like you're not falling over, and it felt like I had gotten there, and it also felt like I had gotten to this, culmination on the anatomy of like being able to bring my energy all the way up to here, and like that's like solving the video game, and special golden tokens are supposed to unlock when you have the experience, because like think about it. I don't know, there's so many different things I could relate it to in terms of pop culture, but it's like when you successfully go through all of these different levels, and there's all of these pitfalls and everything that that prevent you, and we're talking about like this inner acceleration. This is my understanding of what ascension is, not something, even though it's a beautiful poetic image of like Christian rapture and floating upward and wearing a white robe, like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a change in inner state through accelerating your energy, and it's similar to a psychedelic trip, but like I'm not a huge advocate for psychedelics, and I think at this point what we're supposed to do is draw upon the internal resources, not use an outside molecule in order to make it happen. So my dance is one way that I get my momentum going, and music is a huge part of that, and it's a feeling, and it's not an intellectual experience. And I felt like I had gotten to that level of momentum where like you're supposed to break through the membrane, like break on through to the other side. You're supposed to get there, and the there is a mental state, and it's also an empowerment where you're like more directly connected to the unimpeded reality creation. If we're talking about our own ability to create reality and our own ability to directly affect reality as opposed to indirectly. I think almost everyone is recognizing at this point that our minds, our experiences, like we're indirectly affecting our world. And, Becky has a very interesting video about that too that I wanted to bring up here. And if we talk about it, I don't know if you want to give credit or whatever, but some really interesting.
Yeah, sure.
Good that she was talking about of this the projections into our world that are made of false light, like projections of other people or projections of a context. Like if you're in a place, like I walk into the convenience store, like when I walk into a store, I recognize that premise or that context is largely a projection that is coming from inside of me, and this understanding, like, well, okay, like if I'm projecting the store, or if I'm projecting some of the customers or people that work in the store, then it's like I would like to be able to be a virtuoso and make something beautiful happen in the store. Like sometimes I can be like, oh, like 25% off my garden rate. Like that was good. That happened this morning. Yeah, totally. Like that's a nice little thing. But what if we can do something even bigger on a grander scale? Like we don't have to. I would say, I'm coming from a more cosmic supernatural direction. We don't have to be limited to just like 25% off coupon. Like what if you could really be more than manufacturing the merchandise with your mind? Like what if you could make things that wouldn't even be in existence otherwise, like beyond a garden rate, like things that are new and unusual. We should have access to that level of reality creation. And circling back, that is what I felt like I had earned in early June. And I was very, very disappointed because, like, I'll talk about a bunch of depressing SHIT now. That we're in this world where it's like run like a very capricious video game or something like that, where you can reach the final screen and then you still don't get the reward, you still don't get the thing that you've been moving towards, and that was very disappointing for me. So I got up to that level, didn't get the thing that I thought was going to happen. Reality did not change profoundly and unfold, and then I don't know what life is like in other people's area of the world. I'm in Southern California. We got hammered with chemtrails and spray every day after that. And it was like, usually it's really sunny here and the air is very clear. We had like thick, soupy, gross smelling, overcast clouds. Not like a beautiful scenery. Yeah.
Your clouds smelled?
Totally. They smelled like putrefaction, all right? Like it smelled horrible. It had a heavy, oppressive feeling to me, and more depressing stuff. I think it's filled with parasitic pathogen. Like I think what they are now experimenting on or trial and erroring in order to see how it affects us is not just something that's a metallic nano thing, but is also something like they've been doing mycoplasma, like a fungal type of thing for a long time. But now, to me, it's got a parasitic element to it, almost like a hookworm. And I've been taking lots of like anti-parasite medicine to deal with the difficulties, but I wanted to put that out there. If anyone else is fine, that's great. If you're fine, that's fantastic. But if you're having intestinal symptoms, then I'm really like that. The CV-19 is part a parasite. Like, it is not just nano excited by 5G. It's also because what they do is like genetic mishmashing, like making a Frankenstein's monster out of DNA. So it's like, oh, well, we'll take a little bit of this organism and a little bit of this and a little bit of this and put it together into something horrible and then spray it on the humans. And like, that's also, if I refer to some of Becky's videos, the idea of being like in an experiment, even though I won't validate this experience by saying it's a scientific experiment, it's like a torture. Like, when they do something like stick an electrode in a monkey's brain and then that's like not an experiment. You know it's going to happen. Like, the monkey's going to suffer horribly. Like, where the monkey is being experimented upon, you can't validate it by saying it's the quest for knowledge or anything like that. And the beings that are at that meta level or that higher overarching level that are doing this level of trial and error on us, none of it has to do with just like a pure quest for knowledge or something like that. It's really profoundly psychopathological. It's profoundly malevolent. It's not only like to destroy us, but it's about whether they can somehow continue like their existence based upon our destruction. And that's also what I was understanding in early June. Is this too much also? Like, I feel like I'm dumping. Like,
No. It's fine. I think I know for myself, it feels like the thing is, I just imagine, I imagine the mind virus as like an invisible tapeworm that's like energetically laced in and out of the whole fabric of existence. And it's like how they describe the devil, right? The biggest thing he ever did was to convince you that he doesn't exist. Like, the devil is that thing. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing. Maybe there's some allegory in the mainstream religions that you can understand through simile and metaphor, but it's more just here and now and to the point and simple and removed from what you would call dogma. It's fully removed from that stuff, although it does feed off of the feelings of guilt and stuff that the mainstream religions do produce within us if we're still suffering from savioritis. Yes, it does eat those things, but it's simpler than that. It literally is woven in the fabric, and the people that you see out there that seem brainless are the ones that are fully taken by that. Just like that, I think it was Thomas, I don't remember who it was. Somebody posted a picture of a bug. The bug's insides were caved out, and it said that the parasite thing is operating this bug from the mind, but there's nothing in the bug anymore. It's literally like animating a dead carcass. And that even goes to that's more simile and metaphor for our businesses, which are corporations speak into existence this dead entity. It's all interwoven, and like, to me it just seems like that dead entity that we've been thrashing around via our own life. Like, when anybody talks about Walmart, they're literally like taking this dead carcass and they're flailing it around, giving it life, but it's not actually alive. That's what I see happening.
Your description of a tapeworm through time is so apt. Thank you for your prescience. Thank you for being like so articulate. That's exactly what I've been seeing. That it's a time looping parasite. And I've been like, when I was going through this in June, like, my mind was very disarranged, and it was very difficult for me to be analytical and examine what was going on and everything. It wasn't until kind of I came out of it that I got more perspective. But someone else helped me to have the language to be able to talk about it. From a TV show, like, I just started watching it, I don't know it. It's called Dark, and it's about... right?
We're currently watching it. I think the thing spits these out at us like it.
Interesting. Well, my friend told me that it's about a time-looping monster that's trying to bootstrap itself into existence. And when they told me that premise, I said that fits with what I've been seeing with my insight, that there's, like, really only one psychopath. Imagine one psychopathic organism. And it's kind of bifurcated itself and fractally, split itself up and spread itself up kind of across time, like a big, like, smear across many, many layers of time. But it doesn't actually exist yet, even though it's fucking with us so much, and it can cause disease and suffering and very real death. The thing that is doing those things to us doesn't exist yet. And when I talk about Becky's video of, like, our ability to project being harnessed or hijacked, I think we are being used and exploited to actually bring this thing into existence. And my huge caution on everyone is that, well, like, let's not do it. Like, that's how you break the time loop. If it involves the necessity of hijacking or utilizing our creativity, our observership, or some aspect of our experience of being submerged in time, let's not do it, because that's how you break the loop. That if it needs like, oh, where this thing doesn't exist in the past until you come over here to the future and humanity either believes something into existence or makes some kind of quantum computer or time travel experiment that then loops it back into the past and then makes it happen. I think that's what we're dealing with. The parasite that you're talking about, the time, like a tapeworm, that's the devil, that's Satan, that's Lucifer, that's all of this evil psychopathology that is an infestation in the time field itself. And it's not supposed to be there. And it's definitely not divine. It's not like God sat down one day, not a human anthropomorphic God, but like the presence of God did not say, let me create something horrible and sprinkle it throughout time, like, really destroy my creation. Like, no, God did not do that. So there's always this question of like, how did it arise? Where did it come from? Because that's the logical thing to do. Like, if you want to kill something or get rid of it, you go like, where did it come from? But we're using our intellect and analysis to try to approach this when our intellect and analysis are literally implants from that very thing. Like, language is an implant from that very thing. This is not the normal way for us to communicate. It's very abnormal. We're supposed to be tied into each other's minds telepathically. And to me, like, I'm not getting religious either. That, to me, is what Christ is. That it is not the human Christian religion or anything about a man suffering for you. That I'm seeing Christ really as the connection of all of our pineal glands, imaginations, this energy center on your body that makes like an overarching neurology. And when you mentioned the insect that had been hijacked by a parasite and was just kind of like, walking around like something out of a horror movie, that's the antithesis. That's Antichrist. When a technological thing creates a meta network, that is like a neurological network, and forces you to participate. And that's what I see as AI, 5G, the nano wetware, the stuff, the crapola that is sprayed on everyone for many, many years and self-assembles in your body. And I've been on your show many times and we've talked about that. And I know that these are like dark or depressing topics, but you don't have to be hopeless, but definitely we're in a war and there are no non-combatants. So don't just think like, I'll just go live on a farm. Everything's great. Like, look, they spray this shit from the sky. It's going to fall on top of you. It's going to affect you too. And it affects everyone around you too. And part of the agenda over June was to see if they could spray these DNA plasmids. And a plasmid is like a circle, like a wreath, DNA that's joined together. That's what they plan to do in terms of vaccination. But I think everyone is too awake. You're not going to get this mass vaccination campaign that they wanted to get. And also, we didn't have the millions of deaths that would have justified the immediate release of an experimental DNA vaccine. So what they decided to do instead was, we'll just spray it on you from the fucking sky. And then you don't have a choice. But you do have a choice because DNA has behavior. So it's not just like, if you put a plate in front of someone, they're not just going to eat everything just because, I indiscriminately eat everything. So just because genetic material is sprayed upon you or you breathe it in does not mean that you have to incorporate that into your own body and into your own body structure. So I've been doing all the things I can do to purge that stuff out of my own body because it does not belong inside of me, and it's also something that doesn't belong inside of any of you other real humans or on our planet. And I think it affects other mammals too. I don't think that it's just something that is falling on humans and affecting humans. I think that when you start to deal with DNA, like think of our entire planet as being a big ball of DNA, and there's of course different unique instruments, but if you start to change the tuning on one guitar, the entire orchestra starts to go out of tune and out of alignment, and then the piano doesn't fit and the harp doesn't fit. This is affecting everything. Like if you see 300 elephants suddenly drop dead, I think that it's because of something like this, that the DNA in our planet, in our world, is being assaulted, and that's part of an assault on time.
Right. I think the splitting of the veils has, I think it's almost as fully as it possibly could be with COVID. I don't know that you could, I was telling Andrea about this earlier, I don't know that you could get a larger mass cognitive dissonance without actually having like people killing and murdering each other in the street. Like to my eyes, this is, and it's worldwide, like every single business, which again is the corporation, like those things are the mouthpieces of this parasite. They maybe not, they don't know it maybe, but if you see like them all acting exactly like zombies, and magically 6-foot stickers are appearing, and magically you must wear a mask without any logical, rational explanation, that means that they are the mouthpieces for that. And like you said, there's no escaping from this. If we're working and we're making money, a lot of us, we can't just go be creative, because number one, there's not enough quote reels to buy all our stuff anyway, and number two, like this thing, this essence, it suppresses all the people who are organic reels. I've felt it. I know Andrea's felt it. It's not super easy to just magically manifest this magic money. Like we're starting to have to toe the line, and we're not being allowed to just go to work, make a paycheck, be peaceful, work on your garden and your artwork on your off time. It's literally like the elephant in the room is starting to become visible, and everyone's going to have to look at it. There's no other way at this point. You have to acknowledge it.
When you talked about serving the corporation, which is a dead body and like a not real thing, so many people who are, let's say, in the position to enforce the mask mandates, they are cashiers or if they are managers in stores, because mostly that's where I experience it. You go to buy something here. I'm in California, and you have to wear a mask. So it's like, I go to the grocery store, I put on a schmata so I can wear whatever, go in the store and buy something.
Mm-hmm.
But there's at my local health food store, like I know that the owner and the supervisors, they are totally sane and grounded, and they recognize that masks are a placebo at best. They're like a comfort item against anxiety, that it has nothing actually to do with preventing a virus. Like as soon as this started to happen in early March, all our town council in our city put out all of these things, like you have to wear a mask and you have to put a piece of plexiglass in front of the cash register. Like if you have a virus that is in the environment, a piece of plexiglass will do literally zero to protect you from the virus. Like it's not that the virus will go around the tiny piece of plexiglass.
That's what I'm saying. Like the thing itself, and I don't think that this parasite, it doesn't think. Like it's not like, let me find out a plan to dupe all these real people. No. It just does what it does somehow. Like it sees our energy patterns. It's hungry. Like it knows how to interdimensionally flow through the time and set itself at. It probably sees cognitive light up points where we think about something, and then it goes and says, oh, let's put an anti-logical thing right there to confuse that point. So it puts up the plexiglass right next to where we have some firm logic. And if you're not if you're not strong internally, then that will act as a direct attack on your own mental stability. That's what it's for. It has nothing to do with like, oh, let's try to pretend that we're protecting them from the virus. I don't even think it has anything to do with that.
I think you're totally right when you assess this parasite as not being intelligent, not being brilliant, and not being logical. That it's almost like it can see a map of your brain, and it can say, oh, if I want you to go through the maze, like a rat through a maze, then I will stimulate your brain over here, and your mind will go over here. Like it's very easy to map a neural connection and then be like, oh, zap over here means this person's going to go over here. And I think that it even happens in terms of our conversations. Like you talked about the people who are already taken over. And like there's a lot of people who have just acquiesced themselves where they're like, I don't want to lose my job, so I'm just going to enforce the mask mandate even though I don't believe in it. But there's a lot of people who have been taken over. That their thoughts and their feelings and their fears are totally programmed by this mind parasite through the media. And it's sad because there are people that I considered my friends throughout my journey, and I see them totally programmed, and like they really believe like that they can't do something like hug their family member or whatever because they're going to catch this supposedly deadly disease that is 99.6% survivable. And if I bring that information to them, they think I'm attacking them. They're like, I thought you were my friend. Why are you telling me that your fears are totally unbounded and that you're just being programmed by propaganda in the media? Like an actual friend would actually tell you that. I'm sorry, I'm ranting.
No, it's fine.
It becomes emotional.
It's too layered. It's too layered for anyone to come at it if you haven't done research yet. Like if you're just now waking up, it's too layered for you to try to, even with regular logic, with be like, oh well, like it seems weird to wear masks. Even if you look at the whole thing is rife with cognitive dissonances. Like it's rife with the Orwellian doublespeak nonsense. The whole entire thing from top to bottom. So if you haven't taken the first look at sort of the way that this or even that this entity exists. Like most people, I first heard about this thing in Carlos Castaneda books. I didn't even know it exists. I heard him talking to Don Juan about something, and I was like, what is he trying to say? And then you get like a mental glimpse of something that's invisible yet that's feeding, and then it starts putting together like why the realm looks so upside down, because it's impossible to see it directly.
I'm very familiar with those books, and the books, like, don't take them as literal, take them as allegory, because they are a conglomeration. They're not actual anthropomorphic investigation that this guy did. The information that Gary was talking about, he talks about Don Juan. Don Juan is a composite shamanic character that wasn't actually from the, whatever he said, the Huichol tribe or whatever. They were actually the Tara Umara, which are peaceful, and they live in the mountains, and they are kind of like, they didn't want a lot of people going up there, so they made it a fake tribe, a different tribe, that it was someone else. But he's a composite character, and he talks about the flyer mind, which is this implantation, which some people also now call Wetiko, and that what this mind parasite does is, if you can imagine that your own energy field is like a luminous ball that's around you, like an egg or something like that, it nibbles away from your crown all the way down. It nibbles away at you. It nibbles away at your awareness and your perception, because we're supposed to have like a totality of perception, not just your five senses or your eyeballs looking at the world, but feeling all around you, which is like more of the way that a wild animal or like a really well-trained athlete feels the world, and nibbles down your shield of awareness all the way down until it's at your toes. And then that's how most people live their life, just like with living on 3% of their brain, of their cognitive function, and a minimal amount of perception, and barely connected to their body. And Don Juan also spoke about how humans are, how you keep chickens in a chicken coop, to get them for the farmer, that humans are kept in humaneros, like a human coop. We're in a human zoo, and that is accurate. You're in confinement here. And, there's all of this stuff in the New Age. People are starting to come to their senses about it, but I gotta tell you, like, one of the things you gotta throw right in the trash is this New Age trope that you say, oh, if you're here because you chose to come here, and you're on a mission, and probably you're a special star seed and blah, blah. Like, no, actually, you are here because you have been abducted. You are here because you've been hijacked from your true soul trajectory. And I don't know how many times you've been through the washing machine here. Like, I'm new. I'm a walk-in. I haven't been here that long.
I think I've been here I feel like I've been here from the beginning sometimes, just from what I've been through many washing machine tumblers. And if that's not the actuality of my soul, I experienced all of that in a compressed state when I did that weed that one time, because I literally, like, I don't know, I feel like I've been here forever. And plus, like, nobody makes sense to me for the most part, because to me, like, the society is insane, and there are a couple people that have some shred of sanity left, and I just feel like I'm wandering around by myself for the most part.
One of the feelings that I felt in June under the assault of these demonic plasmids was a sense of profound isolation, because I couldn't feel the realness of the other real people. So part of it was like a pineal lobotomy, that I'm very telepathic, and I can feel someone else, and I can feel whether they're real. Like, even if I'm typing on the computer, I reach out my awareness, and I feel that person. And if I feel like they're like either a walking infested parasite or some kind of a composite bot or something like that, I'm like, oh, let's not even respond to this person. But I do have a sense of who's a real person. I couldn't feel any of the other real people in June after these spraying assaults happened.
Oh,
and
wow.
I usually can really talk with my garden outside. Like, I have a beautiful orange tree that's right outside my door, and I usually telepathically connect with it all the time. I couldn't talk with the tree. I couldn't connect with a lot of other living organisms, and it started to make me think, am I the only real alive person here? Is everyone else like dots, just like pixels on a screen? Is anyone real? Is everyone else just a character that's being portrayed like a child of the Matrix? Like the narrator now writes a new character. The character is the guy at the store. The new character is the guy walking his dog. The new character, like, it didn't feel like any of these were real or naturally occurring people. And it wasn't until I cleared out that stuff that I was able to, like, oh my God, like, I can feel the tree again, and I can feel an actual bird again. So I'll affirm, like, you're not the only alive person, but these assaults that are both genetic and energetic and consciousness based, they make us feel like we're cut off from one another, because our real superpower when we are in Christ, again, not a religious thing, when we are connected with this level of our energetic anatomy, that's part of our superpower, that you're not just on your own. Kind of like that show Sense8, but without the weird, freaky sex stuff. It's not about
I haven't seen it.
someone else's sexual feelings. But it is about drawing from the best of one another and supporting one another on an energetic level. And that you can be inspired and helped and guided by your brothers and sisters that are also here, that are also active in doing this. That you don't have to fight the entire war on your own. We're supposed to be battling together.
Right.
And when they cut that down, that's like, okay, great. I actually didn't know what I was going to do, because a big part of how I teach people is telepathically. Like, oh yeah, when I do my dance and I send out telepathic messages. So things did get better, but that was a very isolated experience, and they tried to make you feel isolated.
Yeah, like the thing about it is, and you could view the month of June as like one coordinated attack on yourself, because as a piece of the light, right? You're as a divine being that's creating. It knows, this entity knows that it doesn't need to do a lot with us. Like, we create the existence. So if it sneaks in here, sneaks in there, sneaks in through a certain way that somebody talks to you, as you know, you will do it yourself with just a little bit of prodding. Like, you yourself, like, you're saying it with your own words. I felt as if I was the only one. Maybe everyone else is Matrix characters. You are literally like speaking an entire realm narrative experience just by saying those few words. And then if you combine that with all your other knowledge and experiences, you can literally manifest in that moment experiencing that exact phenomenon. And if you keep going with it, if you didn't be like, Aurora, wake up, like there are at least, a few other real people here, don't throw the whole thing out. If you didn't do that, you would go to that reality. You would go to the reality where Aurora is the only one that's alive and everyone else is a pixelated computer thing, just because you're that powerful. We do create the reality. And if you went to that state, you would be nothing more than what you see in the Matrix, which is the body and all the tubes coming in, and you're way deep in there somewhere experiencing a hell realm, but this thing is just like, yum, 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 tasty, Great, tastes great.
I think you're totally right on the assessment of the pitfall, where if you say, I can't feel anyone else is real, I'm the only real person, and then you create that as reality. Because we're at that level of empowerment where we really are creating reality based upon our belief and our perception. So if you believe in the time monster, you create the time monster. If you believe you're the only real person, you create that. And also, let's use the positive. If you believe that the time monster is not real, that it's just an illusion, which can be hard, because if the illusion is hitting me on the head and I'm like, ow. Illusion, ow, ow.
It's the metaphysical problem that has existed forever, They're like, they tell the guy, the guy tells his master, he's like, so you're saying nothing is real, right? And the master's like, yeah, and then the guy drops a rock on his foot. It's like, it's a very difficult thing to understand that, like, yes, it's all illusion, but yes, somehow pain is carried within the illusion. It's difficult.
Right. Well, so I'm a walk-in. When I first came into this body in 2001, I did not think that anything could happen bad to my body. Like, I lived here for many years doing things that now seem very reckless, because I only thought that, like, my body could not be harmed. And it wasn't until I actually broke my toe that I was like, wait a minute. If this world is a dream and blah, 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 but I can break my toe and have body damage and feel suffering, then I have to take this as real. It's just a simple practicality that I used for being able to navigate being here. But I would say this, in my more recent assessments, because I've been here now for about 20 years, body is real. Your physical structure is real. My dog, my orange tree, these are living creatures that have a real living energy field. But a lot of things are a projection. Like, this microphone is a projection. This computer system, this light, even this table, that these are projections of our awareness, and we uphold them by a consensual reality. Like, we all agree the table exists, and we all agree the street exists. But those things, I think, are purely projections from us. And I think that when we talk about, like, going into a new level of reality, an amended or improved level of reality, the stuff that is alive you can take with you. Like, your life, your body, your dog, your loved ones, your favorite tree from your garden, like, those are real things. That's why they can make that transition into a different state of reality. But things that feel like, when I get to a certain level of inner momentum, technology feels very fake to me. it does not feel real, and I don't imagine myself like taking my computer with me when I go through this magical portal as if I'm going to Narnia or Fillory or something like that. Like, I don't think that that's going to translate, but I think that, you know, if we look at the computer as an externalization of your stuff that you have inside, like, you know, your communications with other people, but also for me, it's got my art and my music stored on my computer. That's stuff that's inside of me. Like, I played that music, even though it's recorded and it's in the computer. I'm not afraid of letting go of the computer because I know that I carry those sounds inside of me. And then when you get through this portal that brings you to Narnia or Fillory or the wonderful world of Atlantis or wherever, you know, that I'm trying to bring up the mythological connotations of where you go from a mundane world, like, you know, in the Magician's Show, they go from the world of the Muggles, this world of technology here, but you go through a magical portal, and then you go to Greatbills, which is a school for magic, and if you go through another magical portal, then you go to Fillory, which is a world that's like Narnia, where there's all sorts of natural magical things that are happening there. But these are all energy portals or frequency portals, where it's not a physical door, but it's a doorway with your energy and your belief and your consciousness that you go through there. And that's what I feel we are going through. And the things that help us to go through the doorway are things that help you to feel like blissful and joyful and peaceful and uplifted and, you know, energized. Pretty much the antithesis of everything that they hit us with either, you know, stuff in the Matrix that's an attack. It can be either political distractions or very real economic challenges, because everyone, like, I mean, I am not friends with a lot of millionaires that have tons of bags money, being totally fine. Like, what's going on with the economic lockdown? Like, it makes very many people have both financial insecurity, food insecurity. I'm very aware of that. So it's not like we can very blissfully be like, I'm just going to do the backstroke and I'm ascending, I'm going upwards, everything is great. It's like, no, like, I have to pay my rent, I have to buy carrots at the store. Like, somehow we're straddling two worlds of, like, the Matrix, the world of money, and money is an illusion. Money is a false light. It's a lie. But because we all believe in it, it is upheld as something that's truthful. And when I first came here as Aurora, again, I was amazed at this world where I saw a lot of people believing in imaginary numbers, like the numbers on the stock ticker or the numbers in your bank account. All of these things are imaginary numbers, and people believe in them enough to make them something real, and it really affects your life. And then once I saw that, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to learn all about numbers. I'm going to have to learn all about money, because this stuff really affects your ability to, like, go into the building where they keep the food and get the food. Like,
Exactly.
I didn't know about any of that stuff. So
Exactly.
I had to play along with these fantasies, even though it's not a good fantasy. It's like a harmful fantasy. But money ain't real. But we all agree to it and play along with it.
You know what I when I was looking into money before, the ultimate conclusion I came down to about it was that it's a tool, and the purpose of the tool was to enable us to be anonymous. And it's very strange to, like, comprehend what that means, but it means that, like, you're secluded into your own little cave. You have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these little things, and you can stay in there and you can hide, and you can be like, okay, I'm going to go out to the store. That person doesn't have to know me. I don't have to know them. I just give over these numbers, and then they give me the thing. And it's like a weird inverted form of power, where if you didn't have the money system allowing us that anonymity, the alternative is to know all the people around you and to build relationships and to have actual genuine conversations about things, rather than, you know, put your hood on, put your eyeglasses on, put your mask on. Nobody knows me. I go into the store and I have this little bit of power called $10, and I'm enabled to go do that. I think that's what I think from the meta level. I think that's why we have the money system, because the alternative is to actually know and interact with your true living soul neighbors.
That's a beautiful assessment. I'm really with you on that. There's all sorts of directions I could go. Charles Eisenstein, he's like an economist. It's kind of an intellectual dry book. He talks about the gift economy, like a different approach to the current commodification economy. That he's got more of an academic description of it, but he's talking about what you're describing. In the gift economy, it's like when somebody, like, if it's your birthday and I give you a birthday present, the next time when it's my birthday, you're like, Aurora gave me a beautiful present on my birthday, so I feel like I want to reciprocate and give her something. And that's what this level of economy is like. So as an example, in reality, I have neighbors on one side of me. They're very lovely people, and they have a chicken named Pickles. Pickles one time escaped into my yard, and then we had to make sure that Pickles got home safely. And they often give me a few eggs out of what Pickles makes, right? And I planted a ton of tomatoes this year, and my garden is super healthy, and I'm getting all sorts of tomatoes that are ripe all at the same time now, so I sent over some tomatoes to them. None of it is like commodification. None of it is like, it's time for you to give us those tomatoes, Aurora, like, you better pay up.
Right.
It's more like, because they've been generous with me, I want to reciprocate with them, and it's part of a positive way of sharing energy, where nothing is because, like, you feel so obligated or oppressed or whatever, like, oh my god, like, mostly the feeling that most people I know have with their bills, with their money, is oppression. Again, I'm not friends with a lot of millionaires, so mostly it's about like, oh, I'm forced to pay this bill, I'm forced to pay this thing, I don't have the money for this, I don't know where money is going to come from, and it's a sense of a profound obligation, as opposed to, oh, I have extra of what I need, and I want to share it with this person that's generous with me. And that's a totally different approach to physicality and materialism and resources here.
Yeah, Susie said, now we are losing the anonymity, which means the end of the game. And that's true. Like, the end of the money game means that all of the genuine living beings interact with each other. That's what it means. Like, the money thing is pretend anyway. Like, it's totally pretend. You can't say this much of my time as a multidimensional being is worth this many little trinkets. It makes no sense whatsoever once you move outside of that limited mindset. You have to, it just doesn't fit. Like, it doesn't fit. If you look at a number in a bank and somehow cognitively relate that to some physical movements that you've made over the past week, it doesn't do anything anymore. No relation.
From the supernatural viewpoint, or the viewpoint of what we're actually doing in time, the idea of selling your time and commodifying it is death. That what you're supposed to be doing is, like, let's say you're moving in a particular time trajectory, but, you know, you need to have money in order to buy food that's in the store, like that, you know, in the food room where that is locked up if you don't have money, right? And so what you have to do is you have to get money by changing your trajectory. Like, I have done many inglorious jobs while I've lived here, you know, like, because I had to, whatever, like, earn money.
Yeah.
And none of those things are things that I would have done just for fun.
Exactly.
They were a gig. Exactly. So that's it. Money gives you the impetus or the motivation to do activities that you would never do ordinarily. And the things that I did, of course, were all things with integrity, like help paint a house, or, you know, fix a thing, or whatever, like build something for someone. But think about the things that people do that lack integrity, that cause them shame. Like if they sell access to their body, or if they do something that is violent, or if they participate in something that they do, that is not their set of ideals, but they do it because you get paid, even to the point of, like, you work for an oil company, but you know that they're dumping the oil in the Gulf of Mexico, it's killing all the dolphins, but you work for the oil company anyway because it gives you money, or whatever. Lots of people in the healthcare industry are conflicted. They know they're working for, like, a pharmacological model that is not healthful for anyone, but they want to keep their jobs. And then we're back to that whole thing of good slaves wearing the masks, where they're like, I don't want to enforce this mask mandate, but I'm doing it because I want to keep my job, because I want to still buy food from the big room where they keep food, and
Right.
they lock it up if you don't have the money.
I just saw it, at some point I saw it as permission slips, because what the pretend control structure tells you is that there are good things and there are bad things, right? So if you have permission via the money, it says, like, you have permission now to walk into this place and pick something up and walk out. And if you don't have that permission, we're going to be violent with you. Like, the whole permission slip thing is literally silently backed by violence at every single turn. This whole place is literally just like, it's like what Becky says. It's just violation of consciousness. It's just demeaning, stealing, looshing, abusing, every single negative word that you could apply to how to treat consciousness, like entombed in a body. That's literally what this place has been for however many years. And I can't even say it's been many years, because, like, the present moment is literally infinity. So how many cycles have I been through here? Like, you say you're walking, I don't know how many cycles I've been through, like, playing this body mind persona, getting my memory wiped, you know, and then the cycle of abuse continues round and round and around.
Cycle of abuse is a good term for it. And when people in the New Age, here's another thing to throw in the trash. the idea that these dark beings are your teachers. They are not your freaking teachers. Like, you are here in prison, you've been hijacked, you've been taken from your true soul's pathway, you're in confinement here in like a human zoo where you're being tortured with electrodes in your brain. And there's this whole new age trope where it's like, do your shadow work, and these dark evil ones are your teachers. And I want to just like smack those people, pardon me, because no, that is like a logic justification, because it's too much. It's too much to bear to say like, no, you're just in an arbitrary, random world of torment that is meant to help you have you emit distress, that it has nothing at all to do with you learning. Like, if you were a lab animal, like one of these whatever dogs or monkeys that's being experimented upon in these various industries, like, you're not there to learn. You are not there to learn. You are there to be the subject of a torturous experiment. That is what is going on here. So really, please, yellow caution flags, huge reassessment for any new age teacher that is coming forward and saying the dark ones are your teachers. Because what I say is, I did not learn from these dark evil ones. I learned in spite of them. Because those things, like what Gary mentioned, mind wipe. First, you're going to go through the washing machine cycle, you're going to get your mind wiped, and you're going to get reinserted right back in. And it happens, like, and you cannot, form wisdom. Like, you don't actually get the nourishment from your experience, because it just gets wiped away, and then you just have possibly a minor residue left behind. Like, your previous existences should inform your present existence, and you should have cumulative knowledge, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So if this were really about learning, you would have cumulative knowledge. You wouldn't have these mind wipes.
There is, I do feel that there is an aspect, and I know we've talked about this idea before, but like that book, what was that book that you recommended? The Dasadi, right? The Dasadi experiment. I think you're the one that recommended that.
No, I didn't recommend it to
I
you.
recommended
we
it.
talked about this before. You recommended it.
Yeah.
Get out of jail and you're a huge badass.
Right. I feel like, yes, you are correct in saying, like, we're not learning per se anymore, but what I do feel is that the residue, like you said, of each incarnative experience, there is a certain strain of residue that's free from the attacks and the mutilation and so on and so forth. And that's, like, for my own personal self, that's why I am what I am. That's why I can maneuver through here without being harassed every single day, because I have that residue that's built up, and they know not to fuck with me. Like, I have it made us into superhumans to some extent. Like, we literally are like the Dosadi experiment, and I feel like these beings are terrified that we're going to come out and somehow be monsters or something, because we've been through this cycle so many times.
I don't think we will be monsters, but I think that we will be super badass warriors. So I can remember what life was like when I was outside of time before I came here as Aurora, as a walk-in. And the way that this world and my experience here has affected me, it didn't stop me from being who I am or change who I am, but it definitely gave me like a toughened callus, like a toughness, where now I have to be skeptical. When I first came here, I didn't know about lies and lying. I never had to reassess, is someone telling you the truth or not telling you the truth? All of these things of understanding psychopathology, like pathological behavior, even understanding the possibility for physical violence or sexual violence. I didn't know about any of those things because those qualities are not innate in me. So by coming here, I had to not only learn that those things exist, but then develop some toughness, some stance. None of this is physical. Like, it's not like I became a martial artist, but like you're talking about, like, in your beingness, some toughness against these qualities. But that just means that I, like, developed an immune system against various pathogens of this world. They're not skills that transfer, is what I'm trying to say. Like, when you graduate from this job and you get your next job in the world, in the cosmos, like, the skills that you learned here, like, they ain't gonna apply to the next place. That's the sad thing. Like, you learned a particular set of skills for this dysfunctional corporation that you work for here called the Realm of Earth. And then when you go to the next place, you'd be like, oh, on Earth we always did well. Like, none of those lessons transfer. But it's amazing that you maintained your integrity or came out of this intact on any level. But you're going to have to totally learn a new skill set anyway.
I feel like you are correct in a sense, but I think the veneer that you build up here, I think that does come with you when you quote exit, because otherwise we'll repeat this experiment. Like, we're going to be on the outside, and like Andrea said when she was feeling back to how she got here, it was like her ex in this life you know, in her mind's eye, she saw him like pushing her, and she fell into this place, and he was like laughing or something like that. What I'm saying is like that veneer that you've built up, that residue of knowledge, I think that's what comes with you outside, and you're not even allowed outside, I think, because this place is quarantined as far as I know. I don't think you're allowed outside unless you can be judged to some extent by a being out there, that you are not literally the parasite, you know, incarnate trying to convince the outside that you're, you know, pure. Like I feel like there is some element that has to come out, otherwise we're just going to get pushed right back in again. We have to have some level of protection.
I understand where you're coming from, but I gotta tell you, the stuff that we're needing to protect ourselves from is stuff that is not supposed to be in existence. This time-looping monster, this bootstrapping parasite thing, it's not actually supposed to be in existence. So we're developing these extensive biological and energetic immune systems to protect ourselves, and behavioral and emotional immune systems to protect ourselves against something that shouldn't even exist. So like, you know, if I had a child or whatever, I would clean up my backyard from all of the broken glass and rocks and stuff so my little kid could walk around barefoot without tearing up their feet. We're living in this world here that's like nothing but broken rocks and glass, and we're trying to make our feet become completely calloused and thick so that we can walk around here and not be hurt. None of that stuff is supposed to exist. And if you're a divine creator being, you make a world that's full of like rocks and sharp objects and cactus spines, like that's not the way that this place was supposed to be structured. So when we go into the world that we're actually supposed to be in, you actually want your sensitivity. You don't want to have huge calloused feet, because you actually want to be able to connect. I know. And what I developed here was definitely a lot of skepticism and a lot of lack of connection. Because when I first came here as Aurora, I was like, I'm going to smile at everyone and say hi to everyone and tell everyone about the flying rainbow lasagna, like literally every weird random person that I met. And then I had to learn about all of psychopathology and protecting yourself and all of those things. But that was an effective survival tool for this very dysfunctional world. But those skills that, like, when we go into a different level of reality, it's like being in a band. You don't want to be deaf. Like, I had to reduce my hearing here because there's so much cacophony.
Yeah.
But when you go into a symphony, you actually want your sensitive hearing. And the sensitivity in this case is emotional perception and intellectual, like real connection on a telepathic level. That here, like, nobody's connecting telepathically here. All this stuff is synthetic telepathy, and all of it is like an assault as opposed to real music making or a real rapport with other musicians, which is how it's supposed to be. And it's supposed to be very much like, oh, like, I hear you. I don't know if you can hear this note. It's a very high up note. I hear you playing this little note over here, so I'm going to play this music over here very gently. Like, you're supposed to accommodate the other musicians. You're not supposed to be like, crash, 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 like, shut up, you're just a little flute, don't play. Like, you're not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to actually want the other musicians, everybody, to have a chance in terms of their expression and their beingness.
Yeah, I want to take a second to find out from everyone who's listening if there is actually a problem with the audio, because somebody is saying, why is there always a big difference in audio levels? Are you saying like I'm loud or Aurora's quiet, or what? Could you explain a little further? I don't know if it's something I can fix or not, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. You can hear me okay, right?
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
And I'm going to see if I can turn up my mic and turn it up.
We have 31 people here. It's
Hi, everyone.
a few more are sneaking through the mesh system. The COVID-19 mask isn't stopping everyone from coming through. Particulate size matters, Aurora.
Yes, it does. 1.25 nanometers on those little tiny viral particles.
Okay, he says that I'm louder.
I'm trying to turn up my mic. How do I sound? Am I better to the audience? I've just turned up my mic as much as I possibly can on this audio settings here. Test, test, test. Check on the mic. Check, check, check. There used to be a really old commercial for Freedom Rock. Hey man, is that Freedom Rock? Well, turn it up.
Yeah, I have my audio turned up all the way for the microphone. I think people are just gonna have to deal.
Yeah, apologies. I can also bring myself a little closer to the mic if that'll help you hear me better.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, but I'm not hearing it from the other perspective. Actually, Andrea, could you pull it up or can I use your phone and try it really quick? I'll eavesdrop on my own show really quick here.
There you go. You can increase your viewership.
Yeah.
Be your own platform.
Uh-huh. Susie says it sounds okay. We have Thomas here. Okay, so Andrea, could you talk to Aurora for like 2 seconds?
Andrea, my darling, how are you? It's so good to see you.
Hi, sweetie. You look beautiful today.
Oh, thank you. You too, my dear.
Oof.
I've been really enjoying your beautiful creations that you're making, that you're sharing more recently. on your
Thank you.
Yeah, really lovely stuff.
Thank you. It's helping me keep my sanity too.
Good, exactly. Yeah, totally. I find that having a project, yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Andrea is working with resin and natural objects of moss and flowers and other things and preserving it, making it beautiful jewelry. That I think that's really healthy and positive. It is a
Thank
very
you.
done. Yeah, so put it into good creative work, and then also it's beautiful and people can come on and buy it too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was enjoying your music this morning too. Gary started playing it.
Thank you
Beautiful.
very much. Yes, I sent it to Gary because I said that old quote, music has charms to soothe the savage breast. And that's definitely when things are totally insane and not logical or not making sense, I really use music as a way to get through whatever is going on. And I mean, I use visual painting too, but even when I'm painting, I can still have a lot of disruptive thoughts and all these different things come in. And my music really makes me have to center and focus. So I listen to, other songs. I think I probably would drive someone crazy. I just play them over and over and over. I find a song that gives me a feeling, an energy, and I just put it on repeat and keep that going as the song of the day. But then after a certain, you use up songs. How you eat too many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then you're like, no, I'm over it.
No more.
Totally, you get the nutrients out of it, and then you need a new song. So I said, I will start making my own music. And I did music last year, and I made a concert called Space Flight, and that was much more of an intellectual approach, where I was thinking all about harmonics and frequency and this and that, and it was using much more of my mind. And what I'm doing over the past month or so is much more of just very experiential, just diving in, and I'm using digital MIDI instruments. So I have a keyboard that's a piano-shaped keyboard, but I can make it sound like anything.
Right.
You heard, I can make it sound like violins or drums, and so it's a way of pretending I have an orchestra.
Yes.
And how I can put things together and see how it sounds. I don't know when I start a song each day which direction I'm going, and sometimes it surprises me.
That's the best part.
For me to do exactly. And then every day the song is different because it's different energy and my feelings are different. Some days I start off and I make a song and it's sounding very melancholy, and it's I'm playing this music and I'm like, this sounds sad. I go take my DOG for WALK and then come back in and then let's add something more peppy. Let's add a fun noise. Let's add this and that. I kind of bring, because I don't need to listen to sad melancholy music right now. I need to listen to something that is the divine propulsion system that gets me moving and gets me going. So I make the music that I want to listen to while I do my dance or while I do my creativity. And it doesn't have words because I'm finding words being a bit distracting. So I just try to make something that is it's food that is nourishing, and it is also makes you feel better. And also it's really good for inner travel. So I'll put on my headphones, before I go to sleep at night or whatever, and sit in my bed and do all of my inner traveling, and I feel it's space flight. I call it space jazz. It makes you feel like you're flying through the cosmos, and that this would be the soundtrack while you're looking at all the different parts of the cosmos.
Oh, that's so good. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you for the encouragement. Yeah. Yeah, and I had all the tracks. I'm putting them up on SoundCloud. You don't have to pay a fee or whatever to listen to them. I literally want to put it out there so that people can hear it and people can get inspired by it. So, whatever, I share the link and I would love for people to check it out.
Yeah, I shared it at the beginning of the show. I think I'm going to take a couple minutes to show all the viewers your SoundCloud and also go over Andrea's resin creations again if anybody wants to order those.
Do it.
So first, let's see. So I'm going to come off of this for a second. Andrea, what's your website again?
It's on Etsy.
Etsy.com.
Hazel and Sage Alchemy.
Just getting a chair for
A and D.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
My dog is here, but she just doesn't want to jump up on her little chair. Come on.
Aww.
Yeah. She loves being on the camera. She's just being a little shy. Jump on up. Come on, it's 10,000 degrees here, too. Very hot for her.
Aww.
Come on up.
Hey, Cheeky. Haven't seen Cheeky in a while.
Oh, that's your friend, Gary. Gary, here, Cheeky, come on up. Come on up. She's too distracted.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put Andrea's link in the website or in the chat here, and I'm gonna just look at some of the recent things that she's created here. Aurora, you can't see it, but
I can't see it.
you can go
I
to.
have visited her website. Also, the
Yeah.
photography for her items is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. And that's a big part of like being able to show to portray it accurately and to show it beautifully. The photographs really help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it matters.
She's when did she start this? Like 3 weeks ago, something like that. A month.
Whenever my dad died.
Yeah, her dad died recently, and she.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. He's around.
I liked this one here. It's the tobacco resin one.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. How many do you have up right now? Like 9? She's doing a series called Freya's Tears, which has a whole story behind it if anybody is interested to look into that. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 items up. This one's amazing, the fairy. Nobody's bought the fairy yet, right?
No, I sold the other fairy.
So that's Andrea's site. Show Andrea some love if you'd like. I think, what have you made? She's made 9 sales since she opened up like a month ago, which is fantastic.
Very good.
And then, okay, so that's that. And then Aurora's is, let's see, I'll just go to my Gmail. Maybe we can have some of your music playing in the background.
I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be some.
Let me pull up something. Do you want to hear something weird that I did? You want to hear something normal that I did? I do have weird songs and then less weird songs.
Oh, whatever you'd like to share with the people, whatever you think is good.
This one I'm pretty proud of. This one is not that weird of a song.
Weird is good.
Yeah, weird is very good.
Hear it.
I can hear it. Yeah. You keep it about yourself. I think that's the main method that Andrea and I have been focusing on is stay in your own energy. Like, stay in your own energy, pipe that out. Like, the parasite is going to thrash around while it's dying, and it's going to, like, poop all over the place, and, you know, you're going to have the Biden creatures and the Clinton creatures just, like, they're basically pooping everywhere. They're like this parasite bug that runs around and poops on everything that, you know, real people are trying to do and create. So just be aware that that's going to happen. And also, you know, you can, like you said, I remember when you were talking about these things in the skies, you were saying, like, I can focus on them and I can send them to entropy, I can dissolve them with my mind. Like, that's literally how we do with this realm and with all of the nasty stuff, even the child trafficking and the sort of energetic bedrock of the power structure. We literally dissolve that by holding our own tune, holding our own frequency.
Big, big, big. And I'm thinking, you know, if we talk about projecting reality or projecting some of the creatures in this reality using our creatorship, I think some of it comes through the pain or the torment or the trauma that we've experienced too. I think that's part of it. Like, the projection of this externalized satanic ritual abuse network or the highly entrenched pedophilia. I think that is an externalization of the inner pain of any one of us that has experienced sexual abuse in childhood. And I have experienced that. And technically it was the person that was in this body before I came in as a walk-in, but I take on the mantle of her life. So I take on those experiences and the way that it affected this body and the energy of this life. And I think that there are many people that have had that experience, and so seeing the justice happen, it's a big part of inner healing, but I think that our inner healing dissolves that projection so we see the justice happen. Like, I don't think that it's first things get better outside, then they get better inside. I think that when you're able to dissolve the pain crystal that is inside of you, the crystallized pain, like solidified amber, dissolve the pain crystal inside of you, then that is no longer projected into reality. So I think it will be if the more of us that do an inner healing on those things and events that affected your own life and your own trajectory, the more that you'll see that aspect of the matrix crumble.
Right. It is, quote, an inside job like 9/11 was. It's the same thing with us.
Yeah.
Like, it is, it's cheeky and it's like a cliche, but you have to take responsibility for your own self. You have to take responsibility for your own life, and you're not even forced to go like, oh, I am the Godhead and I'm responsible for all of existence, so let's try to fix all the problems that I did while I was all fucked up and, micro into this human form. You don't need to do that. Like, be aware that what we call God does exist. It's not religious. It's not dogmatic. It doesn't have any concepts whatsoever, but that is an aspect of yourself that you can talk to and ask for assistance when sort of your own self is effing your own self in the ass, pardon my French, but you have to have some way of sort of remedying that situation. And it's fine to do that.
When we're in a neurological body like this, we're still God, but it's just very, very difficult for us to have access to all of the RAM or all of the processing power that we have when we're not, like when you're in a body, like you're confined of how big you are. Mm-hmm. And so that it's not appropriate to say, like, I take responsibility for my entire creation because I'm God, because like you're God, but you're just encapsulated here. So take responsibility for the things that are a part of what you can volitionally control here, which mm-hmm. mostly is your own body and your own thoughts and your own mind. But when you are not encapsulated within neurology, then yes, you're absolutely the composer, the conductor, the creator that made this whole entire symphony. And you also have a much more expanded viewpoint and a greater perspective and more empowerment. So, you take a larger level of responsibility because you have greater empowerment.
Right. And you can't fall for the whole, like, I'm going to be a savior and I'm going to proclaim, like, we have to be wise about how we do this, because we've had so many good teachers here, and we've also had the wrong ones, which are like put themselves on the pedestal and say, I'm God, and even if they say it nicely and say, I'm God, but you need to do like, God does never say that. God does never force anybody to do anything. It's never from the standpoint of a despot or a tyrant or like a head of an oligarchy. It's never anything to do with that.
I think you talked about one of the main pitfalls when you start to activate the Christ chakra up here, that a lot of people get into like the teacher savior mood, where they're like, I'm going to teach and save everyone else. But when you're up here, you're still not, you haven't completed your own journey, which is actually getting all the way up to here and then, reconnecting to everything that's beyond this human octave. So the pitfall is like, oh, like I am a partially baked cookie, but I'm somehow going to teach all the other cookies how to be fully baked cookies.
Right.
And then out of the oven. Like, no, go in the oven, get out of the oven, then see if it's even appropriate for you to try to teach or bake other cookies.
Right, and you're, by virtue of trying to play the savior, just because of the laws of creation, you create the devil by doing that. Like, if you're saying, I need to save you from something, you automatically have to create the something that you're saving them from. So you got to get past that and be like, let's be balanced. Let's not create anything for a couple seconds. Let's just be here. No gods, no devils, no self. No, not self, all this stuff. Like, we have so much mental baggage inside of ourselves. We can just take a chill pill, and just like look at my body, like it's just working by itself. I'm not sitting here cognitively saying like pump blood and, you know, grow fingernails and so on and so forth. Like maybe we could take a second and be grateful that these bodies work like they do without us consciously like trying to make them work.
That's exactly it. If you ever feel confusion or whatever, the refocusing on the body, because the body is divine. Like that's another new age thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want to get out of their body. Like they either want to astrally project and go on magical fantasy adventures, or they want to, you know, like die in some way and then be free flying around wearing white robes. But I'm telling you, like, the body is miraculous, and being in the body makes you be connected to the divine. And these other beings that we've talked about that are satanic or Luciferian, they're technology beings. They are not like we are, like organic biological structures. They need technology because they don't have the divine connection. They don't have love that feeds them. Like if you cut your arm, healing energy can heal your arm. You don't get like, I'm going to go to the body shop and get like new skin implanted, or like, you know, how you would do it for a car. Like you would get your body shop buffed out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what these malevolent, these wicked beings, they use technology. So it's like, oh, you break a body part, like get a new one at the body shop. Like they have a very different approach and a very different experience, and they covet what we have. What you have is very special in having a body. So it's not about trying to get rid of your body or trying to get out of your body. I am finding that the more that I am in my body, the more that I'm divine and free. So that means the more that I'm like, wow, like, what is my digestion doing? What is my liver doing? What are my muscles doing? Like, I can feel more and more and be more connected to the growth of my fingernails or any other parts of my body. That's the direction we're supposed to be going. So that eventually you do not need an external intermediary to heal you. Like another new age thing I want to throw out the window is this idea of med beds. Like you're going to have these benevolent aliens are going to come down like Glinda the Good Witch, give the magic wand, poof, I'm going to give you a magical box to get into. When you get in, cancer is going to disappear, and your sciatica will disappear, and all this different stuff. And that's not how the healing is supposed to be. It's supposed to be that you reconnect with the divine, with no intermediaries, and it's literally this healing that comes from God's presence. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to the hospital if you break your leg. Like, you need orthopedic surgery if you break a bone. But I'm trying to say, like, in terms of getting past chronic diseases and becoming as great as you possibly can and becoming as healthy as you possibly can. This is not about some technological external accoutrement that's a trinket. That is not really powerful at all. That the real empowerment is when you become awakened at this level and connected to your own body, and you can see like, oh, this is what's going on in my body, and this is why it's happening, and here's the steering wheel or the way to change and fix and help it.
Yeah, like I feel like moving, like just move away from the logics that are given by other people, by even your past self, by the news, by anything, because it's very important to realize that it's pretty arbitrary. Like, there is not like, I need to eat this, I have to eat that, you need to do this many exercises per day, you need to, it's not like that. Like, once you remove yourself from the control structure, it's exactly the same as like, I would like to wear blue today, I'd like to wear red today. And I mean that with even to some level the stuff that you're eating, the sort of things you're trying to accomplish on the level where you're removed from all of these external trinkets. It is arbitrary and it's subjective and it's up to you. So like, live your own life. Like, actually think like, what would make me feel good to do today? Not what are the step-by-step processes that somebody says I need to do. Like, just remove from that, go directly into yourself and realize like you have options. Like, where do I want to walk in my room? When would I like to go out the door? Like, who would I like to talk to? It's very open.
And cultivating your body is something that is totally the antithesis of everything that the Matrix wants. Like, I was thinking about this, that I know a lot of people here, they just don't do body. Like, they're very intellectual, or they might learn about computer software or something like that, but they don't have like a weightlifting program or a stretching program. Like, they don't do, like, there's just a lot of people here that are like that. They're like, no, their body is not important to them, and cultivating and caring for it is not important. And I'm like, you know something? That's not, it's just like there's no non-combatants in the time war. Like, if you're in a body, you have to do body. You have to care about like your nutrition and your exercise and stretch your muscles and care about your posture, because that's part of being here. It's part of like, it's like if you drive a car, you actually have to know about changing the oil and keeping your tires inflated and important stuff like that. So there's no way to just throw that out the window. And I find the more that I focus on those things, it's empowering, and it's everything against like people get paid to do stuff that's bad for their body. Like bend over in a field for 10 hours a day and then I will pay you this much money. Like, it's terrible on your back, but you get paid for it. Or some version of that. Even the idea of sitting in front of a computer and, your ass getting wider and wider because you don't do any exercise. That's another version of that. And the Matrix will pay you to be a good domesticated dog. The Matrix will not pay you if you're like, no, I want to run around and do fun stuff all day. It's like, that's a vacation. That's not something you get paid for.
You're lazy.
That's right.
You're good for nothing, lazy son of a... you know what?
But funny enough, like most people that I know, they're not lazy. Like if they have time off, they want to do bike riding or go for a hike or do something with their physical body. Like mostly I don't know people that simply want to sit in front of a technological device and do nothing. I think that that's a big misnomer of the lazy human.
Right.
I think that mostly humans are very energetic and want to do fun stuff. But they do get very pushed down into the mud. And then when you do give them a day off and they're like, I don't even know what to do. Like my shoulders are down.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
eyebrows are down. I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to have fun.
Yeah. That's what we deal with even here. Because if you're working for money for the most part, I'm somewhat envious that you've managed to be able to create and survive off of that. And I know that's difficult. It's not easy. Even you've got your thing going. And I know that's still hard for you. We wish to do that. We're making movements toward that always, and it's the thing is just no, I don't want you to do that. I feel it energetically, the pushback in almost every single step I take. So you have to stay good internally, because that will get you down. If you do a thing and then this invisible monster is like, well, let's poop over there, let's poop on that one, let's cut off that connection, let's shadow ban this aspect. All these things are really malicious and they're almost all invisible. So you have to. But your own internal energy, if you can retain it, it literally does blast that stuff away. It won't stay around if you can hold your frequency.
I'm with you, and I'm with you on the frustration of the suppression. And from a few personal things that I've witnessed, I'm hoping that the dam is breaking. Up until this point, it was very much a locked down economy where certain artistic, whatever, or even business projects would be promoted by satanic technological forces. Who did the algorithm serve on whatever social media platform or whatever search engine platform? And often, let's just say this, on FB, that social media where the industry is FB, the sponsored ads that come up, I'm going to make the symbol. I am not affiliated with this. Everybody's always making this kind of symbol. Sometimes it's for rock and roll, but sometimes it's for something that's totally not related to rock and roll, but they make that symbol because that is who is their master, and that's who the algorithm serves. But like I say, we're coming out of that era where you don't have to kowtow to that belief structure of Antichrist or Satanism in order to get your trinket sold online. Keep on trying to tell everyone in your audience, keep on being in integrity, because I have been suppressed, I think, as much as anyone. And now I'm finally finding that I'm able to, if I put a song on SoundCloud, the algorithm recommends it, and the people that are good people that really want to listen to real music, that has a soul, find my stuff. And that used to not go on. So there's tons of stuff in the music industry that's just money serving, materialism, Satan serving. I say sucking Satan's dick. I use very language. Apologies for that. But that I don't affiliate with at all. And I also see that there's this whole other level of musicianship where there's just real people that have a soul and want to express themselves, and technology is a tool to be able to connect. Since technology is still in existence, you can use it. So whatever is your thing that you're working on, if it is a craft or a service or what I'm talking about, an artistic expression, a music thing, or starting a business, or helping people in some way, what has suppressed humans in the past, it's breaking apart. They're losing control of the matrix. They used to be able to fine tune it and be like, oh, you didn't suck Satan's dick, so you're not getting any sales this month, But now they can't control it in that way, and we can control it through your ability to create things. We're supposed to be able to make and create our life and do the things, but you got to do stuff that's positive. You can't be I'm going to create a random arbitrary thing and sell it for $10 million. It's supposed to be really following your heart, because your heart tells you the things that you need to make and the things that someone out there needs the thing that you need to make or do. whatever it is. And when that is in balance, then that's when we have like a real economy. That's a real soul economy.
Yep. It's mainly resilience. Like that's the only thing I can think of to apply to what's happened, because the energy is chaotic all the time. Like it's not ever staying a certain way or another way. And then everyone's always just screaming from the rooftops that this next thing is happening and this next thing is happening. Like the parasite itself, I think, is responsible for like putting a lot of that out there, because it's all distractions against, like, if Andrea is sitting here all day like worrying about what Wayfair is doing or whatever, whatever Billy Gates or Tom Hanks or any of these entities, she's not going to be making her resin creations, right? She's not going to be like resonating in her own frequency that allows her to do things that she loves. She'll be just worrying about the other thing. Like you have to stay resilient in your focus, I think. Stay resilient in focus.
I also want to point out, like, the visible tip of the iceberg, or the visible tentacles that we see, if it's Bill Gates or if it's Elon Musk, like whatever person that we see that's promoting this parasite satanic agenda, it's all tentacles of the same evil thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you spend all of your time like, I'm going to read up all about whatever celebrity that's evil or whatever, like, you can really, they call it going down the rabbit hole. You can spend a lot of time and energy and attention, but you're just, first of all, examining psychopathology in excruciating detail, and also looking at the various different hand puppets of the very same thing.
Yeah.
And instead of looking at and focusing on all the hand puppets, just understand, like, there's one main psychopath that is perpetrating this illusion and, agenda upon us. And, if you need to fight against or resist against, like, it's against the main psychopath. It doesn't, like, something, whatever. Ellen DeGeneres, like, she can go to jail. That's not going to change the world. That you need to actually go to the head psychopath that is initiating all of these programs and doing the mental takeovers and doing the, just creating the dysfunction in the first place in order to have any real traction here in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, just even internally, if you just acknowledge, like, I see that there is an overarching energy that wishes to be manipulative here. And just internally say, I don't accept whatever it is that you're doing, not interested, and I will do my own thing. And if you, this entity, attempt to put your tentacles here, I have fire, and it will burn your tentacles, and it doesn't feel nice. Like, just like declare something like that, and you will move through your day more unmolested than if you just try to pretend like the elephant doesn't exist, because it very clearly does exist.
So that was a good imagery, and I used that a lot in June because I felt a lot of these time tentacles coming into me, and I was imagining that I had like a torch, like a flaming torch, that I was able to like back off of me, you tentacles. But that can be very exhausting to have to constantly be on guard, getting these tentacles out of you. So then what I started to imagine was, how you can take like an anti-parasite medicine, if you have worms inside of you and it kills the worms. I started to imagine, what if my DNA started to make an anti-parasite sap that meant that the tentacles couldn't come into my DNA, stuff couldn't come into me as a time being. And like in a forest, if one tree is being attacked by beetles or whatever, it'll make a protective bitter sap. But then it'll also tell all the other trees, like, hey, incoming beetles, they're going to bite your bark, make the sap.
Exactly.
Like, I can tell everyone else, make this stuff with your DNA so that it kills the time parasites so that they can't live inside of you. And that's what I would say an effective thing. If everyone focused on that, like, kill the time parasites. Again, it comes down to, like, purging from within, but that has a huge impact on the totality, that the context that we're finding ourselves in.
It does. And also just communicate with other living beings. Like, if you don't stay active, everything here is manipulated and managed so that the living beings are cloistered and secluded and isolated from each other, and the thing just wants you to wake up. Oh, I gotta go to work, gotta make the money. Oh, I'm home from work, I'm tired, gotta rest. It just wants that eternal cycle to be happening. So you're really your main way of combating that, or it's living your own life. Like, it's like, yes, I'm aware this thing is here, like, it's doing ugly things. Okay, not interested. Yes, thing, I will burn your tentacles. I know slugs don't like, salt and flame. So here, I got internal salt and flame. I douse it on, dump it on you every single time. Be aware and just create. Like, if you're the creator, then be the creator. Like, don't sit there and pretend like, oh, I'm manifesting, but then I'm also scared of the Wetiko monster because, it's been here forever. You have to take a stance.
Right. And so I think we're doing two things at once. The parasite purge is essential, but then also the building for the future. Because I also know that a lot of people are engaged in the feeling of hopelessness or despair, where they think like, oh, just like a meteor, may a meteor wipe it all out, or like that, or some kind of like total destruction. And I think that like when people talk about a new earth or a new paradigm, I think that only exists if we build it. And it's not like anyone else does it for you. And it comes down to your own personal life. Like if you want to be more healthier or athletic in your own personal life, you do it with your own body. There's no magic wand that anybody else waves. And same thing with creativity and empowerment. And then the more of us that do that, the more that we actually create the world that we wish to be living in. But you can't do that if you have these parasites. And the parasites are physical, like these, tentacles that are coming into our DNA, but it's also social economic. I have a friend who works in Aspen and told me that the clientele that they serve, like they're like a concierge or something like that. Their clientele, like they fly in on a private plane, and that it's like $45,000 for a flight. Like that's normal for these guys. These are parasites in the guise of an actual bipedal human. That's not, in order for us to have, you want to make an eco-village, you want to do whatever you want to do, we need to purge that level of economic parasite from the totality of the experience here, because otherwise it's not just that you're being sprayed with DNA plasmids, it's that something else is siphoning off the life force energy from the economy, and they're spending it on $45,000 private plane trips to go ski in the powder in Aspen, as opposed to paying people's food or something that is valuable. Healthcare. When I say healthcare, I'm also not talking about pharmacological stuff, doing things that really could help someone. But instead they put it on their own, whatever, luxurious, fun, quote unquote, but it's not really fun for them because it's never enough.
It's also like an echo chamber to some extent. I feel like sometimes I'm just like, why? This is so upside down here because, like, if somebody gave someone like me, I don't know, some Lambos and a helicopter and this and that, like, I would make the whole thing like such a giant adventure, like nobody would want to ever be anywhere else. But instead, they give it to these empty creatures who literally just go in the same circle. They hop in the Lambo, they go the speed limit, they have their suit and tie on, they go say some nonsense, nothing words to the head of the corporation, then they come back, and it's like, it's the most boring use of sort of something that could be fun. Like, we can be creative. We really need to be creative with everything.
I think it's a boring use because it's Matrix toys that are being given to children of the Matrix.
Yeah.
And that phrase, when I say that, it's the beings that maybe you would talk about, NPCs or whatever, like they are literally just programs of this world. They don't exist outside of time. They don't exist outside of this construct. So, like the Matrix takes care of its own. That's just like in that movie. Like if you love the Matrix and you believe in all of the stuff that's here, and you believe in the fakeness of the money and the fakeness of the economy and of the politics and of the corporations and the social structures and the caste system here, then this system loves you and you get a pat on the head like, yes, good, thank you for supporting me. But if you're like you or me, and you're like, wow, the Matrix is a big, fat, fake thing, and it's just a torment world designed to destroy you, and it's not worth participating in, then it's like, no, the Matrix is not going to reward you. You're not a child of the Matrix. You're something that's actually here to disrupt or even destabilize or destroy this system. The system is not going to love and hug you. It's going to grind you down.
It's a cactus.
Yeah.
This system has a sandpaper tongue, and it's always trying to eat you, just like the cats.
Yeah. It does erode away. It can erode at your soul. And that's also why, like, unless this quality of experience here becomes profoundly different, like, it's not better to stay here longer. Like, let's tear off the Band-Aid fast. Like, it doesn't get better. If we have, like, how about, like, 10 more months of this? No, it doesn't get easier because it's just more erosion of your soul. So I'm really big on, like, do this now. Because they keep on sending up more of the fucking 5G satellites. They keep on spraying us with more crapola. They keep on trying to do everything that they can to disconnect you from your own divinity. It doesn't get easier the longer that you stay here. So do it now. Whatever you're going to do, just do it now.
Yeah. And just and I'm probably going to to cut this one pretty soon, but just like know that when you stay doing the thing, like when you read the Facebook news, when you talk about Zuckerberg, when you talk about Wayfair, when you do this thing, oh, I'm a light warrior and I'm battling this and that. Okay, we know the sort of like way that it sounds when people are doing this thing. Okay, fine, like pay some attention to that. But what you are as an energetic being, it's not even related to all of that stuff. It's not related to Facebook scandals. It's not related to CEOs. It's not related to corporations, and it's not even really related to like the whole concept of a parasite trying to eat us. Like, this is all drama. What it is that we are and what you're capable of, it's so far outside of that, so bigger than that. Like, you will look back at this moment and be like, I spent a lot of time like looking at that ugly bug that was there. Why did I spend so much time looking at the bug when I could have just like give it a little flick?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Really good point. I know, it's totally fine to wrap it up. It's been a very good conversation.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming on, Aurora.
Thank you for having me on your show. It's good to connect.
It's always good. And also, I will listen to some more of your music, and it's great. So keep creating. That's the solution, is just creativity.
That's it. Thank you for the encouragement, and yes, thank you to anyone who listens on the SoundCloud. Like, it's for free, but it helps me. The more people that listen to my songs or that like it or share it with other people, because then it helps me to get recognized by the algorithm and put into rotation. So thank you for supporting me by being a listener.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and we're going to take off for now, but you're welcome back again at some point. I'm sure you'll be back at some point.
Love to return. Thank you very much. And hopefully I'll return and we'll be like, we kicked ass, and the Matrix is breaking down, and now we're becoming totally empowered divine beings.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Good.
The time is now.
That's right.
All right. Peace, Aurora.
Have a great day, man.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I'm also... YouTube offered the ability to have subscribers, like paid subscribers. So I'm going to enact that option. If you'd like to support the channel, it's been difficult to receive support just because of all of the blocks and whatnot, but this is going to be another option and possibility to support the channel. And if I get people buying into that, then I will create programs and things that we can operate through. So I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. We'll be coming out soon. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out. Be creative. Kick Yaldi right in his nuts. And move on. I'm seeing that this Watiko aspect is trying to get the being to use boundaries and make different choices. It just wants to control you. It wants to control you, and it wants to eat all your emotions. That's the very basic thing that I see the parasite doing. And it uses all the low emotions: fear, guilt, resentment. That's basically the currency with which that being moves. Anywho. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.